Welcome back to Wrestling with Horror, the channel where we talk about professional wrestling, we talk about horror movies, and we look at how they intersect, connect, and everything in between. My name is Andrew Dreamer, and today we're going to be looking at a horror movie that completely changed the slasher genre, it completely changed the horror genre, and it is still going strong to this day. So let's take a look at 1996's Scream. Alright, before we get going really deep into this video, I know it's been about a week since you all have seen me in a full video capacity. It's been a busy week. Had a lot going on. Went to AEW in Lexington, Kentucky the other night. Had a really good time. Got to see an amazing tribute show for Jay Briscoe, and I just want everybody to know that let's just keep his family in our thoughts and prayers for the time being and for the foreseeable future, because they're going to need all the support that they can get getting through this. It was a touching moment, but that's all I really needed to say about that. Anyway, as I said, it's been a little while since you've seen me, but we're back. We're going to hit the ground running, and I figured what better way to start this off than talking about one of my favorite horror movies of all time, a movie that is getting its sixth entry in the franchise in just a couple months. Something I'm really excited for. We did a trailer reaction for it, but we're going to go all the way back to the beginning when Ghostface was first introduced in 1996, Scream. So, as we all know, Scream was directed by Wes Craven. It was written by Kevin Williamson, and it just became a horror masterpiece. And to me, it is still Wes Craven's best movie. I don't think, to me, there's nothing that can top Scream, and that's just my opinion. Some people may disagree, but Scream is one of the most important and influential horror movies that's ever been made. And a lot of that has to do with the writing of Kevin Williamson and the direction and just genius of Wes Craven. Now, as we all know, this film stars Neve Campbell, Courtney Cox, and David Arquette, along with other people such as Jamie Kennedy and obviously a few others as well. However, those main three are the ones that we're going to focus on because they are the trio that lives through the entire thing. Well, through most of the entire thing. But anyway, I've talked about them. Let's just get right into this. I know we all know the plot of this movie. I'm not really going to focus a whole lot on the plot. I don't think that's necessary because, as I said, we all know it. But I'm going to talk about the things that I like about this film, things that I don't really care for, because yes, there are going to be a few, regardless of my thoughts on this film. And I want you to let me know down below what you think about it as well. Anyway, so let's just get going. So where else could I start other than Sidney Prescott, one of the best final girls that we've ever had. She's a fighter. She's intelligent. She refuses to quit. She never gives up. And she's just one of the best characters that you'll ever see. And she is phenomenally acted by Neve Campbell in that role. She's perfect for it. There's nobody that could have done a better job. And I think, honestly, the same thing goes for Gale Weathers with Courtney Cox playing her. She gets that attitude down, that rudeness that she has to her, and she just does it to perfection. And I know a lot of people have a hard time seeing her as anybody other than Monica Geller in Friends, but personally, I saw Scream before I ever watched Friends, so she was always Gale Weathers to me, even before. She's always been Gale Weathers to me. Same thing with David Arquette. The first thing I ever saw him in was Scream. He's always going to be Dewey to me. I've seen him in 1,000 other things. And being a professional wrestler, I respect what he did, finding his way back to that. I love the movie Ready to Rumble. It's dumb, but it's fun, and I really enjoy it. But David Arquette was perfect for the role of Dewey Riley. And the way that these characters grow and mature and evolve throughout the series is just one of the best things ever. But in this first film, Sidney is just a high school student whose mother had been murdered the year before. And it's coming up on the 1-year anniversary when this seemingly random murder happens. And of course, that's Drew Barrymore's character, Casey Becker. Now, it starts to seem like Possibly, maybe it could have something to do with the anniversary. And then Sidney gets a phone call basically confirming that it is all tied to her mother somehow. We don't really know. Now, also in this friend group, I mentioned, the main characters and Jamie Kennedy, but you also have Matthew Lillard and Skeet Ulrich playing Billy and Stu, and they're both phenomenal in the roles as well. Billy is one of the most iconic villains in horror history, and to this day, seeing him show up in Scream 5 was honestly really fun to me. And Matthew Lillard is his ad-libbing and his just genuine funniness makes this movie so much better. In a movie that's trying to be meta and to be funny in some regards, Matthew Lillard's comedy makes this movie a lot better than it already was. Even without him, it would have been a great movie, but he just takes it to that next step. All of these actors do. They all just do a great job. So Sidney is finally trying to move on, and then she gets sucked right back into this stuff. She still believes this man named Cotton Weary murdered her mother, but as we progress through the movie, it seemingly becomes obvious that he probably was innocent. And then it, it's kind of a trope in itself now, but it comes to a party where a bunch of high school kids are drinking, they're sleeping together probably, and it's just the perfect place for a serial killer to attack. Now, where this movie succeeds the most is at the time people had never really seen two killers in a movie. And then you get that reveal of Billy and Stu being the two killers. It was one of the greatest moments in horror history. People were not expecting that. You might have thought it was one or the other, but you didn't expect it to be both of them. And then even doing the swerve with the pig's blood and Billy faking his own death. It was just a really good reveal of the killers, and something that I think all the Scream movies do pretty well is the reveals. And the same thing with the third act. I think it's really good how they tie everything up. You have Sidney and Gale coming together. You have the revelation that Dewey is actually alive. Randy is still alive as well. You have all these characters surviving, usually when it's only one, maybe two people who survive. And instead, you have a big part of the cast that has survived. And that's a nice touch as well. I said there was going to be some negatives, and there are. Nothing major. It's nothing that hopefully nobody gets mad about it. I do think that there are a few bits of dialogue that could have been written a little better, and that's nothing against Kevin Williamson. This script is fantastic, and I love it so much. And other than that, there are just a few things that don't really make sense that are played for laughs, like Dewey standing outside Sidney's door holding the mask up and then screaming. I don't know. The little things like that kind of take me out of it just for a second, and then obviously the script and the characters all bring me right back in. So that's not that big of an issue, but those are the biggest things that I would say are not even really negatives, just little nitpicks of mine. And I but the biggest thing I really wanted to say about this movie is just the feeling that I get when I watch it. And most of you will know what I'm talking about. Some horror movies, or just movies in general, even when you watch them, they give you this certain feeling, like it's a certain type of joy that can't really be compared to anything else. And you know that this is just one of the best things you've ever seen, and it's going to stick with you forever. And that's how I feel about Scream. Honestly, that's how I feel about all the Scream movies, even the ones that people don't really care for as much. I care. I love all of these movies. They're all really good, and I love all of these characters, even the ones that you only get for a single movie. I like all of the characters so much, and they all can be traced back to this 1996 horror movie that was kind of Wes Craven's reemergence as a fantastic director. I don't think he ever stopped being a fantastic director, but this really catapulted him back up to the top, and as it should have. He did a fantastic job on this movie. And it launched Kevin Williamson's career as a writer, and he was working on Dawson's Creek. He did I Know What You Did Last Summer. He did so many other things, and he's still continuing to write and be producing things to this day. And the same goes for Nev, Courtney, and David. They all had their careers catapulted by this as well. Obviously, Courtney Cox was already on Friends at the time, so her career would have been fine. But the other two hadn't really done a whole lot at that point. And this movie really, really, really helped them. And again, same thing for Matthew Lillard, Skeet Ulrich, Jamie Kennedy, all those people. This movie made their careers what they are still to this day. People love seeing all these people at horror conventions, and it just shows you how much fun everybody had working on this movie, the tight-knit bond that they all have, and it's just something that's really, really nice to see. So those are all my thoughts on Scream. Let me know down below in the comment section what you think about this movie. Is it your favorite in the franchise? Do you not like it? Are you one of those few, probably 2 or 3 people in the world that don't like this movie? Let me know down below. Let's have a conversation about it. And again, let me know if you're interested in seeing the new one that's coming out in just a couple months. I did a video reacting to the trailer of that, so you can go check that out. I'll put a card right above here. So if you haven't hit the subscribe button, make sure you're hitting that. We're at 187 subscribers as I am recording this, and I appreciate all that support. But make sure you're hitting that subscribe button if you haven't already. Turn your notifications on. Leave a like on this video. My name is Andrew Dreamer, and I will see you next time on Wrestling with Horror.